Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and GreenSunsZenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it. Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a take on Legacy Lands by Sprouts. Sprouts is pretty well known in the Legacy metagame, especially online. If you view their results on MTG Goldfish, you'll see a lot of lands finishes as of recently. But going back in time, just obviously a very proficient player, very good player, and has been doing really well recently with Legacy Lands, which is cool. Hey Joe, a huge thank you for the resub. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, this list caught my eye because it's 30 lands, 30 other, being non-creature spells, and then no creatures. So we do have a copy of Endurance and Twinshot Sniper in the sideboard, but otherwise the way we're looking to win this game is either through the Dark Depths Thespian stage combo, creating Marriage, through Urza's Saga and creating constructs, potentially winning just through some sort of lockout by maybe Wasteland or Tabernacle. And then we do have some newer cards in Disruptor Flute, which is pretty cool. This is a 2-mana artifact with flash. As it enters the battlefield, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name cost 3 more to cast. Activated abilities of sources with those names can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So straight away, I think of cards like Doomsday, Show and Tell, Natural Order potentially, as nice ways to interact against those decks with Flute, but also nice against some of the things that we care about, say out of Delver, naming Wasteland or Petty Theft is pretty good. Potentially Force of Will, if we really want to make sure we're jamming things down. But overall, a pretty cool piece of tech. We also have Malevolent Rumble. I'm going to screw that up, but reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard, create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature with sacrifice, add 1 colorless. So essentially this costs 1 green, draws your card, potentially, or typically, and then also just puts more stuff into the graveyard, which you can get back with, say, a Life from the Loam, which is pretty great. I think that Rumble is pretty exceptional in this list. It kind of acts like another Once Upon a Time, but obviously gives you that mana back, which is really nice. And then, of course, we do have Once as well. So Once, I think, pretty crucial in this deck. Maybe finding things like Saga to try to close the games out quickly, finding one piece of the combo, finding maybe a sort of silver bullet in Tabernacle or Boseiju or Maze of Ith. And then for the Saga package, we see some pretty likely targets in Needle, Boots, and Map, of course, because we are a lands deck. But Grafdigger's Cage, I would say, is probably just a metagame call against the decks like Blue-Black Reanimator or the Nadu sort of decks, Cephalid Breakfast, Oops. There's a lot of good hits for this, and it doesn't really impact us, which is really nice. So I think Grafdigger's Cage is a really nice pickup here. And then for the board, we have 3 Faerie Macabre and an Endurance for Graveyard Hate. So not going towards the full sort of leyline plan. These are creatures, of course, which means you can find them with Once Upon a Time, which is really nice. 3 Force of Vigors, probably looking at things like Leyline of the Void, Blood Moon, any sort of effects like that. We then have Dismember and Twinshot Sniper. Twinshot Sniper, probably a card you've seen out of Goblins before, but not so much lands. This is just a 2-mana discard, deal 2, which is nice, so it can't be countered. And obviously deals with cards like Magus of the Moon, or we could be looking at a Harbinger of the Seas. So very cool to see Twinshot Sniper in the mix. More Flutes and Needles for just pesky things. Ancient Tomb, I assume, for matchups where we might want to speed up a bit. Maybe other combo decks where we either want to combo off quicker or get towards Disruptor Flute quicker as well. And then Karakas for any matchups where we might be facing a Traxxas or other just annoying threats that come in through being a legendary creature. Hey Acolyth, a huge thank you for the resub. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're enjoying Black White D&T. I am very close to finishing your list as a lender deck. I just traded in some store credit yesterday for the second Scrubland and also another playset of Thoughtseize, which is great. I'm only really missing cards that I have in other decks, but I kind of just want to make sure that I have all decks filled instead of moving cards around. So I think it's like a Solitude and one other card. So yeah, really looking forward to this. I played lands a few times. I have played with Ali on MTGO on stream as well. So I'm pretty keen to see how this goes. I think lands is a great deck to play to really understand sequencing, especially with land drops. That can be pretty huge. And even like knowing when to loam, when to draw, I think is a really big instinct thing that I think you'll probably gain a bit back from. Exit this. From just playing the deck, I feel. All right, Constructed, Legacy League, Sprout Lands, Play Points. Nice. Another big reason to play this deck right now is that Sprouts has actually released a free sideboard guide and kind of intro to the deck on their Patreon. So I'll have this in the video notes, but definitely check it out because it's got some really good, not just sideboarding, but also reasoning for the sideboarding and kind of what to expect. So I definitely want to shout out Sprouts for putting this together and not putting it behind a paywall, which I think is pretty cool. All right. Nice. Yeah, it will be interesting to see what's coming up. I really enjoyed listening to Legacy Small Talk, their most recent podcast, talking about the ban and restricted announcement coming up just a little bit at the end. And I really liked how they said that you can't be too emotional about what you think should be banned because there's obviously a lot of emotion right now towards blue-black or oops. And I think that, yeah, it's always nice just to take a step back, maybe sleep on some opinions. Like I love winning. I'm a competitive player, but I also know that by playing a deck like Maverick, which isn't specifically tier 1, you do kind of bring a knife to a gunfight when it comes to Legacy. But yeah, it can be tough when you play against the same deck a lot. And yeah, I guess that comes with, just the powerful deck being the most powerful deck, and that draws a lot of players in. And I think on me, like, I could be trying more with like sideboarding or even main decking more hate and not just trying to run the same thing into the same deck because, yeah, I think that nothing much comes if you're not really innovating when a metagame is moving towards a specific deck or archetype. So it will be interesting to see what happens out of it, if anything happens out of it, and sort of the reasoning as to why it might happen. Right. Really looking for a hand with like a Mox Diamond Loam start. This does have Loam and also just the combo with a little bit of interaction in the Boseiju. It's unfortunate that the ones can't find mana acceleration through Mox, but we do have a plan in that we have, I mean, one's finding like a Saga would be kind of cool. It doesn't have an explosive start. We don't have a exploration. We don't have a Mox Diamond, which is kind of tough. We're kind of all in on the Depths combo, which isn't a bad thing per se, but I kind of like that potentially if we get a turn 1 Thoughtseize, it's just going to hit the Loam, which kind of works in our favor. I'm pretty happy to see where it goes. I just want to make sure that I'm keeping hands based on like pretty solid reasoning. Hey Mangork, welcome. It is just into the afternoon. Yeah, let's see where this goes. Hey, that's very cool. Were you the player who... Did you show and tell Omniscience, and then just didn't draw anything after? Because I did play against a show and tell player who just got really unfortunate, and we were able just to get the Dark Depths combo online after like 4 or 5 turns. There's nothing that I'd probably rather start on than the Forest. I'm just trying to think if it's worth probably taking a draw step and then seeing what we want to once for. I don't think there's any reason to once straight away. Yeah, that was really unfortunate, especially with the way that most builds are these days would say stock up. For you to go show and tell omniscience and omniscience and then just have nothing is pretty tough. Okay. I would actually like to potentially once here for Saga. Instead of just going all in on stage. Okay, what do we find? Nothing too great. We do find a Wasteland, which is kind of nice. Unfortunate that our opponent might be able to play around it playing a Flooded Strand deck. Typically, Jeskai or blue-white decks have a lot of basics, but I think the Wasteland is probably the best pick here. And then because we're really looking for like an Exploration or potentially Mox Diamond, I don't think we're going to be loaming this turn anyway. So I think we might as well just try to get the stage down this turn. Because if we draw into Mox Diamond, we can play Mox and Depths. But yeah, I think once there for Saga would be nice just to get something else going. Maybe get some resources from our opponent targeting either the constructs or the Saga itself. Okay. So it does look like we'll be up against a blue-white deck, which could be tough. Prismatic Ending taking out Mox Diamonds, Teferi bouncing Saga. We have Swords Plowshares, of course, as well, which is pretty strong. I don't mind here just going for once and trying to find that Saga. No. Well then. Do I want to play the depths and give that information to our opponent that we just have it? Playing the Wasteland doesn't do a whole lot. This could be like a dress down deck as well, so the Boseiju could be pretty nice. Seeing we have the Loam, I could expect a Force of Negation down the line, which would be a pretty nice way to get rid of it. There's not too much we can do about that anyway. End-step Brainstorm makes me think they have another Lorien revealed to shuffle, but it looks like they're just going to untap and draw one of the cards they put back. Okay. We do have a Wasteland for the Teferi, which is nice. They might tick down because they haven't shuffled from the Brainstorm yet, just to get out of that Brainstorm block. And there isn't really a reason to not. Like, it's not like we can potentially get rid of the Teferi, so yeah, they're just going to draw a card here. Crop's pretty nice. Crop is obviously at sorcery speed due to Teferi, but I think in this deck you should definitely have a draw step stop, because a lot of the time you might want to draw step Crop for Saga, which will then bring Saga into play with a counter, and then when you go to your main phase, you get a second counter straight away. So you kind of speed up the Saga by a full turn cycle. I do like taking out the Karakas. And then I think we're just going to pass here. Honestly, I could see Crop rotate the Dark Depths here. They are on 7 cards and they haven't used a Force yet. Because we do have a backup Depths. We obviously have the Loam, which is nice. They've ticked down the Teferi, so they can't actually tick up just yet. To get rid of, say, the token or the construct. Or we just play into the 2020, which I would assume that my opponent has a pretty good answer already for the first Merit. So I actually don't mind just trying to go for a Saga here. And if we get to 2 for 1, then that's a small upside. Okay. Baleful Strix. Okay, interesting. So they are going to be a black version. Strix also a pretty good way to clog up the game. Interesting. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Draw X cards, then discard X cards, but also counter. Okay. Very interesting. That's a pretty nice pickup. We're going to try to start with this. Okay. I honestly don't mind Wasteland them. We can't just yet Loam unless we want to play the Boseiju and then Loam. Which is pretty interesting. At worst, if we really need to get the Boseiju back, we can Wasteland it and then get it back with Loam. I actually don't mind seeing if we can do this. Get back these two. Nice. And then I think here we will Wasteland. The Exploration a really nice pickup with this this Loam. What's this going to be? Interesting. Oculus. Okay. We do have a Ghost Quarter in the deck, which is nice, so we can actually interact with them. And we will Dredge here. Mox Disruptor Flute. Okay. And they have 3 cards left. I think here we're just playing the Depths. And then playing a Wasteland. This way we're holding up the combo. Obviously we can't block, especially if they don't use the Teferi first. Okay. So they essentially draw 3 and then discard 3? Draw 3 cards and discard 3 cards. Wow. I think just to play around another Teferi, I will just make this end step. Hey, hi, Star. Esper Dragons is pretty interesting. I wonder if it is playing that new 2-mana enchantment where you can kind of reanimate a dragon. Helm and Douthie, wow. All right, we'll try. Okay, at least it's a swords. They have 2 cards. Rumble's pretty interesting. I think we start here with Loam, getting back Wasteland Depth Stage. They have 2 cards. Okay. Yeah, of course, Rumble first, of course. That's my bad. Rumble, of course, because then you put more potential targets into the bin. Yeah. My thinking was that if we Loam, we can then use these to cast the Rumble. But, yeah. Tabernacle's definitely interesting here, just to shore up some of their mana. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's really just a basic error is there. We could take the exploration there, that's very true, and then get back to Tabernacle. I just wanted to see if potentially now with 4 creatures and 4 lands, how many of their creatures they keep, just to get some potential clock off the table. Hey Mark, a huge thank you. Very kind. I very much appreciate that. So they're going to pay for the Oculus and pay for the Raffine. They're probably split up. Oh, they're going to go on the Raffine. Okay, interesting. Interesting knowing that we're a deck with Karakas, so they're going kind of not all in on the Raffine, but not sort of splitting it. I guess it is flying, so they get more through. We can't just block and then sack. Obviously pretty happy just to block here and sack because I'm not going to keep it with the Tabernacle around. But yeah, we said this was a great deck to learn sequencing, and already like mistakes with sequencing, which is, oh, is this got? Oh, they both have flying. Okay, well, no blocks, I guess. But pretty crazy that next turn they're going to be lethal. Right. That's very cool. Yeah, I do like lands. It's always tough streaming with a new deck because of course you are going to make a few mistakes, but I don't mind where this is going. There is a Ghost Quarter, which is interesting. So let's start with that. Ghost Quarter, so I guess I could also Wasteland them. Do I want to put a Dark Depths on the table? I think we do. Yeah. I guess we do have the Exploration to start with. They have 3 cards. Okay. So we obviously want enough mana to Dark Depths and also Wasteland them. What is the Wasteland doing? Yeah, I think the Wasteland's going after the Tundra. They'll probably just keep these 2 again. We then, of course, have Depths as well. So, like, at worst case, it's another Swords. Rydia. I'm not too sure what Rydia or Rydia is. If you can exclamation point card and then put in the card name, then I can see. Okay. So the nice thing is that the Teferi can't bounce the Dark Depths just yet. Red-green, legendary creature, human shaman, 1/2, landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. And then return target Saga with mana value X from your graveyard from the battlefield, the finality counter on it. Interesting. That is pretty cool. I don't mind trying to block here. There's not too much with the Karakas already in the bin that we're playing around, other than land into another Teferi. But at least I get some of the pressure off the table. Ah, correct. No, yeah, correct. No Karakas main deck. That is very true. Okay. Swords is fine. At least it wasn't Prismatic. Prismatic was the card I was kind of a little bit scared of. Let's also bring the graveyard up here. They have 2 cards in hand. Oh, Mox is pretty nice. I don't mind that. Okay, so we can go Mox. They have 2 cards. Discard Depths. And then green and green. Loam back. It could honestly just be Depths and Stage for sure, and then maybe Saga. They're going to force that. Okay. That is fine. I'm now going to Wasteland them, and then play Bojuka Bog and Bog them. There is 1 Maze in the deck. We do have to think of the ward as well. Okay. I do just want to see how much they put into keeping creatures around here. Like, they might just keep all 3, which I don't mind because it just keep them off potentially adding to the board in another way. Like, it might potentially stop like a Ponder into another force effect. I don't believe at 1 we actually have an out, so we might as well just save some time here. This will be a pretty interesting matchup. I don't mind having the Karakas in the deck. And then the thought of the flutes is pretty interesting. The tomb speed things up. The tomb speeds things up a little bit, but I think the cage is probably an out here. Sejiri Steppe isn't too bad. Yeah, Voidwalker is a great point. I think the Dismembers make a lot of sense. Crops, the explorations. I don't mind the maze, seeing they have some pretty big bodies. I could see like a Wasteland coming out, even 2. Because I assume post-board they might just go for basics early on. But still having access to them is pretty nice. Maybe we don't need all 4 flutes. 3 and 2 Dismembers. Yeah, I could see like a Depths coming out. I definitely don't mind that. And we have Boseijus just in case they have some sort of artifact or enchantment, which is nice. We don't need to bring in the Force of Vigors, which are a little bit more narrow. I think the 4 Yavimayas, I actually watched LSV play a very similar list as well. And he just really like the manner of the 4 Yavs, especially when you are playing like a Tabernacle, a Maze, 4 Depths. You do have a lot of non-green sources. And I do think that Lands has one of the most shoddy mana bases of Legacy decks. It's just pretty funny as a Lands deck. So here we have a once and 1 land to potentially find one, but otherwise not a great hand. I think I'd much rather try to find a hand with, say, at least 3 lands, maybe a Mox. Like the Loam's nice, but yeah, it doesn't really have a plan. Okay, pretty great hand. We get to once into Exploration, into Mox, pitch, play Loam. We could also get rid of the once if we wanted to and keep the Cradle. But I obviously really like this hand. So we'll keep this, and I think it might just be the Yav. What would we want to find with the once? Yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with this hand as it is. Especially if we go cast Mox, pitch Wasteland, play Exploration, play Saga, play Cradle, get back Wasteland. Okay. Wow. That's actually a pretty fantastic opening for us because next turn we just get to Loam, Wasteland them, hold up making a Saga token. Which, it's a small thing, but I think just making sure we know our lines in their term saves on clock a lot. So we can Loam here. This goes to 2. We could, if we really wanted to be greedy, Loam back 2 lands, but we can't really. So, pretty happy just keeping the Loam there for 1 more turn. And I think it's just going to be Boots. Boots with the fur. With the fur. Yeah. I think those starts are just quite hard to beat for our opponents, so kudos to them. I don't think we want to change anything. It's interesting that they did start on the Jewel Land. Like, potentially I just like the Wasteland over the extra depths and just have like 2 depths, 4 stage, 4 Saga. Because Wasteland can just win games. They're pretty well, I would say, equipped to deal with Dark Depths, and 2 is still pretty nice. I think that's all I want to change. Yeah, the Flute could name swords. I don't mind it naming like Teferi, just keep Teferi off the board. I don't think we're getting as aggressive as like, yeah, maybe like 2 Flute is nice, but not everything. Maybe just another body and endurance, honestly. The whole LGS was looking at her. Nice. Okay. Okay. This is so close. I feel like if something was just an extra land, but because we don't have a Loam, That's where it's tricky. Unless the Rumbles hit Loam. But it might just be a little bit... Yeah, like... I think this is just a little bit too awkward that I'd much rather find another hand. Okay. I mean, this isn't too bad. We have once to find a green source, potentially. Exploration into Saga starts. Probably drop the Endurance here. The map can also find a green source if we really need it. Okay. Thankfully, we don't care too much about that with this hand. Start with once. Wow, okay. Boom. Hey, Darth. Yeah, I can see that. There's definitely hands where you're like, how is this happening? I think that's a great force target if that's what our opponent was thinking about. I also like Saga here because it gets down a Saga that can make a token before they can Teferi bounce. But something like a Wrath of the Skies would be pretty brutal. Luckily, them going for Island makes me think they don't have that. We can also 6 here. Okay. Ooh, we get 2. I actually hope we draw another land here, so we can Wasteland and also. I didn't change my hair color, but I have changed the color of like the surroundings that... Did we bring in the Ancient Tomb? No. Okay. My eyes were always blue. Boseiju back pocket is pretty nice. That's very true. Yeah. Holding back. Okay. I think here I like making a token more than holding up the crop. Yeah. The upside is that we're losing this Saga anyway, so we could just throw it away to the crop, which is quite nice, but what do I really want to do here? Could also use it for the map to get rid of this ley line. I don't mind. Yeah, it's tricky. I like... making a token. Make a token, go get boots, play the stage, equip. Needle's pretty interesting, but... Definitely a lot of lines. And like, I really don't mind the swords eating up a construct there. That is more than fine. I mean, they kept the Strix back, so I assume here they're happy to block. Cool. They have another land. Okay. Mox isn't great. I guess we can Needle and probably just name Karakas. Could name Teferi if we care about it more. Like maybe we're just winning through constructs this game. Four mana but nothing. Ghost Court is kind of cool. I think we're just going to hold up map for Boseiju. Okay. Again, 2 swords for 2 constructs, I think we're very happy with. There's a world where we like play the extra exploration there, but I really just want to play a little bit around a Wrath effect. It's nice knowing about Leyline as well, because it is quite hard for them currently to be able to hard cast another one. They don't find a shuffle effect. They find a Strix that draws them 1. Okay. I guess the Boseiju is a shuffle effect. So maybe we don't Boseiju until after they draw the next card. Yav's pretty cool. We might, I guess, yeah. I will play this. And then I think we're going to do a draw step stop, just to potentially get another Saga. Storm's fine. This is probably a matchup where I wouldn't mind like a walk-in closet. It's a Crucible that's green, which means it pitches to Force and potentially Endurance, which is nice. But just that ability to have something in play that allows you to play lands from the graveyard without having to like spend 2 mana for Loam is pretty nice. But I can also see like Sprouts has put a lot of time into this list, so there's obviously a lot more reasoning that he has than I do. There's also the world if they tap out, we just crop for Dark Depths, but I assume they're not going to tap out here. One thing to note with Boseiju as well is that it is 1 less with Malaysian play, which does come up. I've definitely Boseiju'd a Maze of Ith for 1 mana, thanks to the man himself. But we do have to consider time here as well. So we untap, we got a draw step. And then because we drew this, I'm pretty happy to get rid of this. Force, sure. I'm pretty happy to hold the Cradle for now because we have 2 explorations in play, so I think next time we could play it anyway. But maybe I want it for the Mox. At least if they play their legendary creature as well, we can copy Karakas. They have 2 cards left. They're attacking with the Strix, which makes me think they have another answer other than Karakas, because if we get Depths into play, we can Ghost Quarter the Karakas, make it, and then attack. Aura Blast. Interesting. I think we're just passing back here, unfortunately. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, what? Ah, that was one. Wow. I guess that's a good reason just to copy the Karakas early on. Sweet list. Yeah, I don't think we have too much from here. But very cool list from our opponent. And some nice, just small things to think about from my end in terms of sequencing for sure. In other good news, I've tracked down the last 3 Scythecat cubs that I need, which has taken a while, especially in Australia. Okay, so we have a once. Yeah, a bit of an awkward hand. Like it's once for a green source exploration. No. Okay, this hand's actually pretty cool. Turn 1, exploration and map. Potentially this is a Dark Depths drop. It could be the Needle and then just find it off Saga. Sup, XJ, hope you're well. I haven't done Eternal Week in Japan, but I have done a Legacy GP in Japan. Fantastic experience. It really makes you appreciate how much Magic is a language. I think it's the depths. I think this hand is just all in on Saga off the map. All right, good luck, opponent. So let's go. Surely this isn't Joe Lassette. Exploration. Wasteland. Map. That'd be Oarsman 77, correct. Nice. If there was a Magic pub quiz, you would be pretty good. I don't like the pedal. That makes me think show and tell. They shuffled their library. Okay. Um, I wonder if we're just holding up the exploration. Sorry, yeah, the expedition map. I guess we have 2 lands. We could go and get depth. We could go and get depths and then play depth stage and then rumble as well. I think that's just the best thing to do. Boom, boom. Green, green. Rumble. Saga. And then I guess we hold the needle. It looks like they've been on a reanimator style deck recently, which like I could name the one Grizzlebrand, I could name Otawara. I can't threaten Petal because this is a mana ability, unfortunately. I think I just hold the Petal for a show and tell, potentially. Yeah. I could Needle Misty, but I have the Yavimaya in play, which is tough, so they can still tap it for mana. And I feel like they're a mono blue style deck, potentially. No, you're welcome. Yeah, it's always tough. I remember one of my first Legacy tournaments, I was playing D&T, and I did Pithing Needle a LED. Obviously doesn't work, but I had a Flicker Wisp to flicker the Pithing Needle in a few turns. So I did that. It came back in play. I brain farted and just named LED again, even though the whole play was to reset the needle to name something else. It was Painter, and ended up being Painter, and I lost to Grindstone the following turn, which is pretty funny. That's a good sign for us, because we don't care about this Wasteland for mana. Okay. Hit this. Land. Land. And I think here we just name Otawara. Nice. Okay. Pretty fortunate there that our opponents didn't have it. Like, they kept a 7 with Ponder, and then obviously just didn't find, like, A plus B. Okay. Sprouts, help me out. I believe Otawara is the only thing that kills it. They have played a version with Shallow Grave, so they could potentially put Archon into the bin and then get it back at instant speed to make me sack a creature. But that's why it's good to keep around the token. The Karakas makes sense. The flutes make sense. The needle makes sense. Like, forces are kind of interesting as well. Maybe not the needles. But the flutes. Bog seems good. The maze is interesting. The Tabernacle can most likely come out. Mox turn, like Grafdigger's Cage seems good, which is nice. I probably should have thought about that a little bit more if we were going to go for a Saga line, because our opponent is kind of known for like a show and tell style reanimator list. The fairies make a bit of sense as well. They were showing red though, however, yeah, so maybe they have switched it up. So maybe the fairies aren't needed and maybe the needles are. I don't mind a Force of Vigor or two just because of Omni. I think Maze just might be a little bit weak because we have Karakas for the creatures that don't do anything on attack, like Emrakul or Archon in Grizzlebrand or Atraxa. But of course, Maze doesn't really do anything against the other two. Like I still love just keeping that core of the deck together. Boots I think is great. Map is great. This is probably an Ancient Tomb list as well. I could probably shave on like Adepts. Boseiju's quite nice, which the Force. Yeah, probably Sejiri Steppe. That's a good one. I would assume like Otawara is probably mainly their way to get there. Wasteland seems fine. Crop seems fine. Like it could just be like a little dilution of Rumble. Tough. I think it's a case of, can we combo off before them, but can we also have interaction for them? This is turn 1 exploration into Needle, or turn 1 exploration to hold up Crop, which I don't mind. We also have the Rumble going. We obviously don't have a Loam or a Mox, but I think that's okay. This is like a pretty nice mix of... It's pretty nice. So we go Yav, start with exploration. And then I think we're just going to hold up Crop rotation here. Because we can put the Needle in off a show and tell if need be. I'm sure it's just trying to like find space, but Haywire Might is always a card that I think about when I see Saga, which would be kind of cool, but maybe there's just no real use for it if you have the 3 Boseijus and then the Force of Vigors as well. If they okay, just to stock up. I was going to say, if they show and tell, I think we would flute in. And if they put in something we can crop away, we could then just name Force of Will so the crop resolves. Stock up really powerful. Okay. I probably don't mind just naming like not getting a token, but just going flute for show and tell and then needle on sneak. And then we could move towards Boots off the Saga. Yeah, I think we're just floating mana and cropping it away for stage potentially. See what we draw. We draw another Yav. That's pretty interesting. What am I scared of? I'm not too scared of too much at the moment. It's a matter of what's the best way for us to win in the shortest amount of time. They've cast 3 cantrips, if you want to call stock of a cantrip. I guess it is. So they most likely have like a force. So crop rotation getting rid of the Saga is kind of appealing because then at least we're not getting fully 2 for 2'd. But also just getting a token onto stage is nice. Ooh. Do you have lethal? If we double crop for depths, potentially. I'm going to get okay, so we have heaps of time. Welcome. Welcome to my store. So the question is that they are at, sorry, they're at 18. So we do have like crop for depths, crop for stage. Actually, sorry, probably crop the Ghost Quarter first. And then if that resolves, go for stage. And then we have 3 mana. We get Boots. I guess we have to wait for Saga. Yeah, so we have to actually wait for main phase 1. So this gets Boots, which is nice. And then we have 3 mana, 4 mana. 2 mana for crop and crop for stage and depths, which replace itself thanks to Yavimaya. 2, 3. Yeah, so I think we actually go. Crop this. Okay. I wonder if we get stage here just because it's probably the card that's more turned on. Nice. And now we get Boots. Now we play. 1, 2. Copy this. Nice. Very cool. That is sick. So there we obviously get a 20/20, and then we have 1 mana left over for the Boots to give haste. And they don't have the 4 mana for, say, an Otawara, which is cool. So really nice to get on the board. Very cool. Yeah, Sneak there, surprisingly slow. Usually they have a little bit more, but nice to get Boots there. So big shout out to Mark there for making me look for lethal. And I wonder if they just didn't think that we could give Marit Lage haste there. That's probably the big thing, that if they did have a force, maybe they're just thinking, well, if I get to untap, I actually have a way to get there, or some sort of bounce effect for Marit Lage. Nice. Esper 2. Sneak and Show. Yeah, they had 7 cards, which maybe they just had like a lot of sneaks and or like threats, or I'm not too sure. But yeah, Boots just so strong. I've really liked Saga in green-white. depths where you're not splashing for a third color, and so you're kind of splashing for colorless. Because obviously Lavaspur Boots is great. Finding a Mox sometimes is just really good as well. Being able to play other things like Shadow Spear seemed pretty good if blue-red stuck around, especially the versions with Cutter. Needle can be nice. Expedition Map can be okay. Haywire Might in the 75 gives you a little bit of flexibility there as well. There's definitely some cool cards to go and grab. Alright, Blood Boy. Ooh. If the once finds a land, we have turn 1 Mox into Loam. With Rumble and Cropperine, I don't mind this hand. It's a little bit risky, but it works out pretty nicely that we get all our land drops potentially down the line. Ooh, just. Okay, so we get to actually get the Saga as well if we want, but I don't think we want the Saga. I think we just want the Yav. Yeah. Because next turn we're probably rumbling. So let's go Mox, pitch the Bojuka Bog, play the Yav. And then I think Rumble here first is actually better. Because then there's more targets for the Loam next turn. Yeah, so let's get, I guess, the Needle, because everything else we can get with the Loam. Just a swamp. Okay. Interesting. Oh, we're in draw step. I think here we get back Depths, Wasteland. We aren't playing an Echoing Deeps, I don't believe, which is fine. Depths, Wasteland, Maze. And then I think we're just playing the Wasteland and passing with both Once and Flute open, as well as Crop Rotation. Double Swamp. Spellbomb's pretty good, but we can Flute in response. And name Spellbomb. All right. I think here we want to upkeep, crop away Wasteland, go and get a Saga, and then we get to go draw step. We do want to Loam. We don't hit, that's fine, but now the Saga triggers, which is pretty sweet. Now we can play a Depth if we want, yeah. And then pass with Saga open. I could also name Wasteland here with the Needle. I don't mind that. I assume they're going to be a Wasteland deck. Like mono black. I think just in case. It doesn't seem like Wasteland against them is great, so if we can turn it off, pretty happy with that. I'm not too sure what this is. Thoughtseize is fine. I could once in response, but I think just getting these these tokens going, like they're going to be 6/6s. Yeah, wow. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next one will be a 5/5, and then the boots would make it 6 and 7, which is 13. Nuts. I can only assume this is a Delphi deck, so I like the Dismembers. It could be a graveyard deck, so like potentially some sort of Endurance or Faerie Macabres, but I don't want to go too niche into that it being Reanimator, seeing that we do have Crop Rotation and Endurance. The Twinshot's interesting as well because it deals with two cards that I think of, Voidwalker and Opposition Agent. Yeah, the Flutes are probably maybe even better than the Needle, just because we can hold it up. This doesn't seem like a Tabernacle style deck, especially with the amount of basics they've shown. They can probably just pay for their threats. But I don't mind this sort of play. I can definitely see them winning through creatures, so I would expect them to be a leyline list, most likely, so potentially we could like shed a Loam, or at least shed a Wasteland or two. And then maybe it is just like two Loams. Loam's obviously great, but I don't mind seeing where this plays. Pretty good. Pretty good. Turn one, we have once into Mox. Another Saga plan, which is nice. There's Leyline, which is fine. This hand with the Saga is quite good against that. We have map to go and find a Boseiju potentially. The Spell Bomb makes me think this is sort of like a mid-range deck, not so much a combo deck. But it could also be just the respect of there are some combo decks that are faster than me that use the graveyard, so I'm going to play this and try to get away with it. Okay. No turn one Thoughtseize is quite nice. Just any land off the top would be kind of cool. Another Rumble isn't the worst. Let's go once. Find Adepts. Play Mox. Pitch Adepts. Play Saga. And then we might as well Rumble here. Do you find a Flute? Flute could be good. Okay. Yeah, I could sack it there. That's very true. Sack it so they don't get the token. That is a great shout. Small things like that definitely add up as well. They don't attack. I would have liked to seen the attack because I probably wouldn't block knowing that they probably have another Bowmasters if they do. Three mana here is pretty scary. We'll see if they do anything in response to the trigger. They kept up 3 mana. Which kind of makes me want to hold up the Dismember. Yeah. So that is fine. Oh, what I can do is there a way for me to be able to deal with the opposition agent, but also crop this away for Ancient Tomb so I can use it off this? I don't think there is. Unless we actually, yeah. Yeah, there is, because we have 1 mana floating. Mana, life, life. And then crop this away for Ancient Tomb, which we didn't bring in. Classic. But the Yavimaya is not too bad either, because it means the Dark Depths taps for mana, which means we don't have to, yeah, which is pretty great. I guess we also had the Mox, but let's just go for Boots. Play the Depths. We are at 16, so I think we might just stay back for now. I don't think we're... No, actually, because we can make a token. So we might as well make to get that extra damage in. Bridge is fine because we have map for Boseiju. Okay. So play map, make map, and also so map plus make plus Boseiju is 5 mana, which means we should tap this for a mana, go and get Mox Diamond, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana, which is exactly enough. This can name Factory, which is pretty huge. Khan's not the worst. Another bridge. Okay, so we do have 2 mana to play with here. I wonder if we play the flute to see if they activate. We're definitely fluting anyway. It will. I think we still just name Khan here. And then attack them. I guess turning the Mox in is actually pretty good. Okay. So clear the board, that's fine. The Rumble can hopefully find another Boseiju. That's pretty good. Okay. Okay. Not the worst. I wonder how they get rid of this flute. What does mono black have to get rid of the flute? Ghost Vacuum's fine. Oh, what if they name Boseiju? Thespian stage. Okay, that's fine. Six mana. What is 6 mana? Oh, Ghost Vacuum, okay. So Orc and Opposition Agents. We can't search. That is fine. Oh, they fly. Okay. Nice. Guess we just get rid of a crop here. We can get rid of a Mox here. Liliana, wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. Would have just made me sack and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There it is. Unfortunately, maybe just a little bit too late. I think I just once or flute this turn. but they just send through. Okay. Zone 6. Khan. Okay. Damn. Do I want to change anything? Maybe an extra force. Endurance can probably go. Twin Shot's a little bit awkward because of only Moxen tapping for it, but what else do we see? Probably Needles, like Needle for Khan. Maybe just the one Needle as a Saga target. And they did have Leyline. Could just be Maze. Seems like they can go wide pretty easily. This doesn't have Exploration or Loam. And it has Wastelands, which aren't great. It doesn't even have a Saga, so I think I'm pretty happy to mulligan this. Graph Cage probably shouldn't be in here either. That's probably a bit of a misstep. I'm happy to keep this. Probably bottom the cage. That's fine. I probably still want to once try to find a green source, just a Saga. Pretty happy to play the Saga and then pass with force on both ley lines. Maybe a little bit early on the first Saga. Maybe it would have been better just to get full value out of it. It's a shame that Needle and Khan doesn't do a whole lot. I don't mind the Mox. Gives me access to mana. We can get rid of the Dark Depths. Layer Saga. And then potentially just hold up the map for now. Not too sure what I want to get from it. Aragorn. I guess that's a good reason for a maze. Pretty happy just to have the map in play for now. I think in response to this, I'll just get rid of this for the forest. Maybe they want to Wasteland me in response. Okay. Flute doesn't do anything here. I think we'll just pass with it potentially just being a 3/3. And then they might attack with the opposition agent. So we can flash in the flute. No, okay. I think that's gonna be it. Oh. I'm gonna do the bathroom real quick, and then we'll come back for match 4. Nice. Yeah, mono black pretty tough. Opposition agents, ley lines, even the main deck spellbomb. Like we had an answer to it in the flute, but otherwise it would have been pretty devastating, to say the least. Nice. Scrib. Skycat Cubs are in. Right. We haven't been on the play a lot, which is kind of nice. Okay. We have turn 1 Mox Saga and also once, which is pretty sweet. Get to drop a depths. Get to once first, of course. I know kept 7. Pretty happy to get the Yav here. And then go Mox. Pitch, Depths, play Exploration, play Saga, Trigger, play Yav. I could get used to this. Magus. Okay. Interesting. So I believe Magus doesn't do anything to the Saga, which is nice. The question is, do I want to get rid of the Yav for a basic? I don't think I do, just because we have the Moxen. If anything, I might just want to Wasteland them, which I think we will just do. I just used a Spirit Guide as well. And now we get to play a Depths as well under the Magus, which is pretty sweet. Ah, but it doesn't. Interesting. Okay. I thought it kept getting counters, but that actually makes sense. Now I understand. So we have Otawara to win. So we do have Expedition Map. And we also have the Rumbles to find it. Flute's pretty interesting. Gotcha. Okay, that's pretty good to know. I think the card that I'm scared about is probably going to be Bombardiers. So I'm going to name Bombardiers with this. Just because it speeds up the turns. What am I missing? Is it called Goblin Bombardier? No, it's not. It's called... Oh, no. Broadside. Thank you. Broadside Bombardiers. They Fable, it's not too bad. Okay. I guess that makes it tricky because do we have an out to double Magus? I don't know if we do. There's a Boseiju, but that does nothing. But we might as well grab the Boseiju. Ah, it's going to be a adventurer deck. Interesting. Initiative. I can get a basic. I actually don't think we have an out. Let's have a quick look. Yeah. I think that's it. The Grafdigger's Cage is interesting because it does stop the last ability of the initiative. They can't search their library for something. I don't think the Needle does a whole lot, but maybe the Flutes do. I would also assume their deck is a lot of 4-ofs, so maybe the Flutes might add up, which is nice, which means the 2 might come in. Step can most likely come out. I think, yeah, the Grafdigger's Cage is probably a little bit too niche. the Bog can most likely come out. Map Boots. Maybe that's too many flutes. Yeah. Maybe we just have the removal. No colored mana, which is tough. So I think we will just mulligan this. Okay. We do have a pretty nice hand here that we have the combo a turn early. So if we keep this and we bottom the once, I guess we could also bottom the crop if we really wanted to. But we have Depth Stage Green Source, which gives us access to... Doesn't give us access to Yav just yet. I think I'll actually keep the once and try to find Yav. Okay, we find the stage. Then I think we go stage, Mox, pitch, stage, pass. Just in case we need to Mox him. I mean, if they go turn 1 Magus, then we get the win, which is quite nice. Oof. Caves. I don't think we dismember this. I think we just try to get there on Dark Depths. I think just because Dismembers are only out currently to Magus. Like, kind of answers things. I think we still get rid of this. Which is a little unfortunate as we can't do both. Maybe we can. I think we can here. This has to resolve. Yeah, we can. They do have the planes though, but I think we just try. Crop this away. Get a depth that has no counters on it thanks to the Magus. And then dismember this. To then trigger the depths. They have 3 cards. And they have a Solitude. And they have the Undercity going. Tough. I think we can concede to that pretty easily. Like, we'll draw a Boseiju. Yeah. Very tricky. Really tough. I think like maybe like a Torpor Orb effect is decent against that sort of deck. But having to respect both like the Blood Moon side of the deck and then also the initiative side without creatures in the deck is a little bit tricky. Maybe if we're playing like the version with Source to Plowshares or Reclaimer, that'd be pretty cool. The decks felt pretty consistent, which is nice for a non-cantrip deck. I guess it does have Rumble, which is kind of a cantrip. It does replace itself. And I do like that the list doesn't have any creatures other than obviously sideboard. That's kind of nice, especially when it comes to Tabernacle. But would love to finish with a land trip. Thank you. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, the list is sweet. I think the only thing that would be kind of cool to see in the list would be an Echoing Deep, but I think the big question is where do you put it? Like I think you just want the 4/4 split of depths and stage, but I could see putting in one over like the 4th depths. But I do like the consistency of just going stage depths you have. On the play. I think nearly all games have been on the play, which is kind of cool. We are up against, I believe, Delver. It has an engine in Saga, but that's about it. We could go like Yav, pass, hold up, crop, turn 2 Saga. Or just go for the actual Depths plan, which obviously plays into Wasteland, but an interesting spot. I think there's a better 6. This is a 1-lander, unfortunately. This is probably worse than the opening hand, but I don't think we can go down too far. It's probably Ghost Quarter here. And maybe the Maze, and we keep that as a crop target. And then we get to go turn 1 once. Find a Saga, which is nice. I'd like to play the Yav out first. Potentially, if our opponent starts with turn 1 DRC, we could Wasteland them, crop for Tab, but it's a little bit all in. Taiga. Interesting. A landfall deck. I don't mind just Wasteland and Tab. A little rough, but can you imagine if they had like a Spirit Guide and then like got us with Landfall? That would be pretty brutal. Okay. That's pretty nice. Kind of scared of that 2 mana from Final Fantasy, the 2 mana creature that has like landfall double power. There it is. All right. So I believe like a pump spell is quite good for them. Cast the Mox. Get rid of the Saga. And then I think we just want to try to find Maze of Ith. No. Do you find Ghost Quarter, which is interesting? Like, do they play basics? Or do we want to keep the Ghost Quarter for us? Just so we can definitely make a 2020 next turn. I think I'm just a little bit too scared. But so a fetch land goes to 2, then goes to 4. But if they have something like Scale Up, I think that's just lethal. Yeah, it is. I'll take them off the white. Do I have a basic? There it is. Scale Up plus land. Makes it 16. Ah, 12, of course. I guess we have crop rotation as an out. Crop away the Tabernacle and get Yavimaya to play the depths and make it 2020. Why can't I play a land? Oh, there we go. Okay, good. Just to play around Wasteland. We will copy now. I like Dismembers, and I like the Twinshot. Flute's pretty interesting if they're all in on like 4 ofs. But not too sure. Oh, it has Trample. Okay, if they can trample over me, then they got this. They win Legacy. That would be very cool to see. I think this does it. Yeah, wow. Another... Yeah. Damn. That is pretty nuts. I like the Dismembers. I like the Twinshot. I like the Karakas. Needle can come out. Bog, most likely. I like the depths. Grafdigger can most likely come out. One more. It might... Tough. Might just be the Ghost Quarter. No real lands. Okay. Mox plus Tab is quite nice. I'm going to bottom the Boseiju here. Mox, pitch, Yav, play Wasteland. And then we might actually rumble. Put more lands in the bin. Get the exploration. I guess that's a great reason to keep the Yav. Okay. Nice. I guess here we get to sack and Wasteland this. Sack, Loam back 1, 2, 3. Didn't I just tap this for green? Weird. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Play the Yav. Tap for exploration. Play the depths. Next turn we have Tab and Wasteland if needed. We'll Loam. We Loam back Wasteland, Maze of Ith. And they're going to concede to that. Very interesting. We're just going to run it back. Triple Mox. Wow. Let's go with it. We don't have a Loam, but we do have a turn 1 Saga. I mean, we have depths. Is it greedy? Hmm. I think here we go Saga, Mox, pitch depths, play map, hold up crop. Interesting. Okay. This might cause me just to go and get Maze of Ith. Unless we draw a land next turn. Yeah, I'm happy to take this. Okay. Mox. Pitch step. Play stage. And then we actually just have the combo open now. Okay. Verdant, sure. I guess we can also make a token and then next turn just get boots and swing the lethal with Marit. Okay. I think here we have to just get rid of the... I guess the Saga can stick around for now. I think we get rid of the stage, but it's interesting. We have a lot of time, so we get to maze this, keep the 4/4, take 4, get a 12. We then have a construct. I'm trying to think if like the stage gets us there. I I feel like the Saga is doing more. Okay, they're just gonna concede to that. Well, we go 2-3, which I think is fine for like a learning experience, but I think there were definitely some small things I could have done in those games to just sequence a bit better. I think opening hands as well is an area that I could probably work on. But all in all, like a really fun deck to play. We didn't come up against any real Grafdigger's Cage matchups, but otherwise, yeah, the deck felt really cool. Like the turn one, you know, Mox Diamond with Loam or Loam Exploration hands are really solid. The Rumble is really cool as well. And just like even small things like knowing to Rumble most likely before you Loam to get more targets. But yeah, all in all, that was pretty sweet. I'm going to see who else is streaming and send you over there. But I'm not too sure when I'll be back next. We will have to see. There is... I believe my opponent is actually streaming, so we can go watch them. But a huge thank you once again to the new followers, new subscribers. I appreciate every single one of you, so thank you very much for coming and watching. And I'll get better. I'll get better. And we'll see you in a little bit.